I wonder, is it possible to play non-racing games with this steering wheel? Let's find out. Hey, Nico here. Welcome back to another episode of Is It Possible? Today's plan of action is to take this USB PlayStation branded Hori steering wheel and repurpose and remap it to play games outside of the obvious forms. So for example, we won't be playing games like Gran Turismo, Forza Horizon, F1, those kind of games, the list goes on. You might be wondering, who is this little fella here with the big googly eyes and the eyebrows and a mustache? Well, this is Pal Dizzy. He's been my steering wheel compadre for the last couple of years through many different kinds of content and meme-filled shenanigans. The game of choice that I would like to remap to the steering wheel is Outlast, a first-person survival horror game released back in 2013 and performed the any percent speedrun of it in 9 minutes. HowLongToBeat.com boasts that the main story of Outlast takes about 5 hours to complete. So you take that 5 hours and you bring it down to about 9 minutes? Well, that's speedrunning for you. For those intrigued, an any percent speedrun is usually complete the game fast, with either restricted or unrestricted glitches usually determined by the speedrun community. I'll explain the run in depth later on in the video. So how are we going to make this all work then? Well, it's time to introduce one of my favourite remapping softwares of all time, reWASD. It's either reWASD or reWASD, reWASD, reQWERTY? reWASD. reWASD is a powerful game remapper that allows you to convert any majorly recognized controllers or peripherals and convert it into keyboard and mouse, Xbox 360, Xbox One, DualShock 3, DualShock 4, Switch Pro, even to the point of being able to remap a button to completely shut down your computer. The perfect opportunity to troll yourself, I guess? It has recently introduced its own mobile app integration to be able to quick swap remap profiles and also use a mobile phone or tablet as a game controller on PC. Compared to a few other alternative remapping solutions like Joy2Key or FreePie, which we actually did cover in one of our previous videos if you'd like to check it out, click in the top right hand corner right now. They are primarily coding-based solutions for you to make absolute custom forms of remapping. However, reWASD was my preferred choice for the steering wheel, as it was easily detectable, and I'm a huge fan of their user interface, as it makes it super easy to do exactly what you want. Let's cover how we use reWASD with the Hori steering wheel. Now, I was very specific when I mentioned that it was PlayStation branded, because when we plug it into the PC, that's right, it's recognized as an Xbox 360 controller. If reWASD wasn't able to detect the controller, you'd usually be presented with a screen like this. This is the case for an alternative solution like Joy2Key, which can handle a lot of uncommon controllers, usually ones with different registry sets as well, which reWASD, potentially at the point of its current release, may not be able to recognize. If you are wanting reWASD to support a specific kind of controller, make sure you submit a request to them in their Discord or within the app itself. To start off, unmap or mute all of the native inputs that the controller would perform by clicking on this magic tool and pressing mute all. This allows us to make sure that no conflicting inputs carry through with our remapped inputs. My personal preference for how to quickly register a remap is to press the corresponding inputs on the controller and reWASD will detect it. From here, head into the drop down list where it says reWASD mapping and choose what you want to remap it to. Ideally, I want the wheel to be a form of directional looking, so I'm going to put the input as mouse left. If we were to save this profile right now and apply it to the wheel, you can see that if I turn left, I turn left, but if I were to turn right, nothing happens. The same goes for every other button that has been muted thus far. Ergo, we have to input the rest of the button remaps. To explain the profile that I'm creating, my wheel turn is bound to mouse left and right direction. The D-pad up and down is mouse up and down direction. D-pad left is shift to toggle running. D-pad right is left control to crouch. I can hover my thumb on the D-pad in a diagonal direction to do a multiple input to run and tilt the mouse up and down fluidly. The pedals are going to be used for my general forward and backwards movement. I have the right pedal as W for forward and the left pedal as S for backwards. I much prefer the placement like this, as my brain associates the right side of the wheel as where major functions lie. So keeping forward to my right foot is paramount. To tie in with this, the right gear shift is also bound to spacebar for jump, and also the circle button is bound to the left mouse button. My reasoning here is jumping is more of an important mechanic for this run compared to the use input, so it is nice to have more of that physical touch and audible click from the gear shift when jumping. I've also mapped L1 to A for left strafe and L3 to D for right strafe. It is not majorly needed unless you're doing some intense speedrun strats, but due to how much precision is needed to pull them off, I won't be doing them in this run, so they are there for backup if I ever do need to strafe. For the camcorder toggling, that is going to be bound to the left gear shift for the right mouse button, with the R1 button bound for F to toggle night vision. I will also note that using the gear shifts of the wheel is also the same inputs as the X and square buttons on the wheel, so if I'm to use the gear shifts, I will have to forego using those two buttons. For menuing in this game, which is another important part of the speedrun, to make this more fluid, the share button will be the down key, the PlayStation button as escape, and the options button for the left key. R3 is also bound to enter. These four inputs are necessary for quick menuing back and into the game, which will be explained later on in the video. Depending on the game's mouse sensitivity, I may need to go into the virtual devices tab on the right hand side and adjust the virtual mouse settings to get a better overall feel for how the wheel turns within the game. And that is a rundown of how to remap within reWASD. Now that we got the wheel all set up, it's time to get ready for the speedrun. Now I will say that the Outlast 80% has an extremely challenging first skip, which causes myself and many other runners an intensity of resets, as you can see from these attempts over here. Yeah. Oh my god. Oh. Oh, it's so close. Okay. Oh my god! No! Yeah. Welcome to speedrunning. So let me present to you a full run with commentary of Outlast 80% on a steering wheel. We start the run after the animation of driving up to Mount Massive Asylum. We have to wait for the game to fully load in before we can start the run for fidelity reasons. Run and jump to the door and press use on it to open up. Then we have to hit a specific point on the curb which will give us a boost of height in our jump, for which we can get on top of the hedge and we can jump into the outer bounds and hit a specific low trigger on our fall down, which will take us to the underground lab, which will effectively skip about 95% of the game. As we head down the corridor, we're going to be doing more of those jumps which launches us closer to a point of action, saving us a good few milliseconds in a run if you can time the jump and placement well. We've got to run to a point which will trigger an autosave. This will start the general alarms in the area and the door in front of us will seal off. So we now need to turn back around and go back to where we came from. And as you can see, we are doing these little jumps, just advancing us a little bit more forwards. Run towards the door, jump into it, and then we're going to be greeted by the Strong Fat, otherwise known as Chris Walker, who's going to try to attack us, but unfortunately, well not fortunately for us, unfortunately for them, the Wall Rider is going to focus their attention to the Strong Fat and shove him right into the grating of the vent. delicious. The next thing we're going to be doing is menuing back into the main menu of the game and pressing continue afterwards. The reason that we do this is to get the best speed into our run as we can when the level loads in. I'm also reloading all of the level assets to make sure that there is no degrading performance of quality. Again, it all counts up to seconds of time lost by not doing this. Next, we're running up into the room which Wernicke is in. They're inviting us in open door to try to explain what the situation is. We could try to perform a glitch in which we trigger the animation for the door close, then jump repeatedly behind us to phase through it. Unfortunately, it's very hard to pull off on the steering wheel, so we'll just walk in and let the cutscene play. What I'm going to say here is spoilers for the endgame, so if you do not want to hear the rough story explanation, I'll put up a text to tell you when the spoilers are over. Wernicke is telling us how he should have already been dead, but somehow the Wall Rider is keeping him alive out of sympathy, even with the potential of the Wall Rider, otherwise known as Billy, being his son. He then explains how the Murkoff Corporation contacted him to help them with human nanotechnology experiments and perform them on his patients in the asylum for a big cash lump sum, to eventually produce the precise molecules for their research technology that they needed. He regrets it all and calls himself foolish for thinking Murkoff could harness such powerful technology, but kept doing it because the money kept coming in. Patients then started escaping, creating the ruckus and the horrors that lay within the asylum. Wernicke then begs us to kill Billy by turning off his life support system, which could then in turn kill the Wall Rider, stopping the madness and future deaths in the asylum. As we leave, we've got to wait for this door to open, which can be a little bit finicky at times. So as soon as we run in, we need to menu back to the main menu and continue once again. Don't menu too early, else it'll spawn you back at the room with Wernicke. We've got to make our way towards the laboratory, in which we're going to be finding Billy front and center. You're going to get a little jump scare here from Billy trying to attack you, but you'll just keep moving forwards, not a worry in the world. And as you're coming into this room, you're going to try to sneak through these barrels here, between this little gap, on our way towards the next floor, in which we'll go into a decontamination room. Once again, menu back to the main menu and continue. And now we'll just keep on heading our way. This route will be taking us towards the morphogenic engine chamber, which is essentially the big room of the laboratory in which Billy is held. Now we don't want to be hanging around, we're just going to be heading over towards the right side, which will take us towards the life support room. As per usual, jump and press the use button at the door to advance a few extra milliseconds to save a little bit of time. We need to go up these stairs, making our way towards this valve, which actually tells us, do not turn the valve. Obviously, we're not going to listen to that. And we turn the valve, which is going to be severing Billy's life supports. Step 1 done for trying to kill Billy. We now have to go to the other side of the morphogenic engine chamber, which will contain the second part for killing Billy. On the way, we can see Billy contained, all hooked up, still being kept alive. As we get up the stairs, we've got to sneak through these parked barrels, and now we're en route to Block E. Once again, menu towards the main menu and continue. Now we've got a huge staircase that we have to climb. There is a way to jump backwards onto these handrails, which is actually a time save, as you don't have to jump across the platforms and hit a cutscene. Unfortunately, it is not easy to pull off on the wheel due to precise jump mechanics, so we'll take this little cutscene, which will lose us about roughly 2 or 3 seconds. The next hallway is completely dark, so this is a great time to pull up the camcorder and toggle the night vision. We've got yet another decontamination room to go through. And once we're through, we're now near the electrical wires which are powering up the sub-lab generator hosting Billy's life support. Tear off the panel and rip out the cables to shut everything down. In the previous attempts, you can see me trying to attempt a strat aptly known as a Superman jump, which would trigger the wall rider cutscene of him attacking us midair, but again, is extremely hard to pull off on the wheel, so we'll take the normal route and try to go back the same way that we came. You can see me getting a little bit stuck here because I accidentally did not pull up the camcorder and night vision in time, but now that I'm through, we're going to try to jump across the platforms, and we're going to be grabbed mid-air and then thrown down to the ground. Once again, menu back to the main menu and continue. And now is a rush back towards the chamber to finally turn off the life support for good. The wall rider is chasing behind us, so we need to keep on running and not stop. Jump over this barrier. There is a way to negate the fall damage, but unfortunately I don't know the strat. Run and jump over towards the hand scanner, which you can see me fail here picking up the journal. Then I'll press the hand scanner. Spoiler warnings once again. We are being presented with a cutscene of Billy dying within their life support, but then the wall rider attacking us, infesting us, and making us their host. We don't really know what's happening, but all we know is that we're in a severe amount of pain. So the only thing in our minds is to just get out. As we're staggering our way, instead of going up the stairs, we can save a few seconds by jumping and climbing over the barrier. Still staggering, we want to hit the right corner of the table, which will throw us over to the table across the way. Then it's just a slow crawl and stumble over towards the exit way of the underground lab. And time. We see Wernicke with an army of armed gunmen, and then they proceed to shoot us. Wernicke then realizes that we are the host, and then as we die, the wall rider escapes out of our body and proceeds to kill everyone. Ow.
You have become the host. Jesus God, what is that thing?
And that is the end of the Outlast any % speedrun on a steering wheel. And there we go! That's how you can take a hurry steering wheel and play non-racing games with it. Of course, it's not just limited to Outlast. Thanks to reWASD, you can take any controller as long as it's recognized and remap it to any game that you desire. You can catch me doing this kind of content live over on twitch.tv/Nikoheart, where I play games with a steering wheel, DJ controller, DK bongos, soon to come as well, dance mat. Great memes aplenty as well. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like the video and get yourself subscribed. I've got some amazing upcoming projects and I cannot wait to share them with you. As always, let me know in the comments what you thought of this video and if you have any other ideas for what we can get up to. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. I want to give a huge shout out to our Ko-Fi members for their amazing kindness and continued support for Is It Possible? If you'd like to support the production and the development for future episodes, head over to www.ko-fi.com/Nikoheart.